From the swamp to the stars, it is that time once again where we bring in little Timmy Senor, our resident Timbit, for the UFO Report.
Nobody's going to know.
They're going to know.
Here we go, Timmy. Another great UFO report coming on the heels of a controversial one where not a lot of people were liking what I was saying about New York Post, the report the other day about throwing ufology under the bus, man.
Yeah, I mean, not everyone's going to like everything that people have to say on this topic. It's pretty controversial. And anytime you read something that's inflammatory like that, it's going to get opinions of all different sizes. But I think it's important to note that, you know, even though you did have an opinion on it, you agreed with, I would say, 99%, if not all of what was in that article itself. I think that's pretty important to highlight. And, you know, you may not agree with the delivery, but I think, you know, that information is important. And I definitely feel like it needs to be brought to our attention. It's just, you know, sometimes personalities collide. It can even just be that. And sometimes wording rubs people the wrong way and triggers people certain ways. And then you find yourself under fire on Twitter, you know, for a personality conflict potentially. But what I love to highlight is that it's this time that we're getting all this heat, you know, from all different sides, all of these opinions. I think it's personally great. Like, I love it, but it's so hard to not bite the hand that's feeding us all of these videos because, you know, it's great to get the information, but then you're like, oh, but I'm not sure, you know, is this just another rocket? Am I looking at a drone, you know? And so you're like, oh, I don't want to bite the hand that feeds me this information, but at the same rate, I am skeptical. And so where do you go?
I have zero problem with anybody being skeptical. Okay, I do. And one of the points that came out in that a lot of people on Twitter were not liking what I was saying was where I said, I'm sick and tired of people asking for proof. Now, I need to clarify that a little bit because I don't know what proof is anymore, Tim. If we get videos, they immediately get shot down. If we provide photographs, those are shot down. If we provide professional sky watchers like pilots are, we shoot them down. No pun intended, especially to those in the military. Okay, so if we're not believing anybody, or I have to provide my report to someone who I don't know, or who doesn't believe the people that I have verified my information with, how are we ever going to get ahead when we keep shooting things down? This is why I am very pro-experiencer. Not just because I'm an experiencer myself, but because these are the people who have nothing to gain. They just want, the majority of them. Now, there are some charlatans out there who are looking to make a quick buck and get 10, 15 minutes of fame. But for the majority of the experiencers out there, they never ask for this. They just want some serious answers as to where we're going.
Right.
And it's hard to find those answers when you look at the current state of ufology, where there is no disclosure. All we have is this giant government narrative that is tearing this field apart. And I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah.
I like proof. I'm not saying I don't like proof. I just don't know what proof is anymore because of the way we've been played.
Right. Right. Proof, quote unquote, is so elusive. And to attach something like that, which would be acceptable to everyone, one piece of information or data that's acceptable to everyone as proof, is extremely elusive, especially when it comes to this sort of topic, which is so just ethereal, I guess is one way to put it. It's just very much not a nuts and bolts thing necessarily. But I can say, so I come to you as somebody that saw something with my family that was bizarre. I photographed it, and we had photographs that depicted the event perfectly. And we all shared the same story. And individually, when we were interviewed, we said the same things and described the same stuff. But to us, we didn't know what we were seeing. We didn't jump to alien or UFO. Immediately, we thought, you know, it could be something of ours in test over Seattle, Washington, potentially. But whatever, we still needed more proof, if you will, to our own sighting, which I think grants the possibility that even to people that believe, we're all looking for that proof. And I think we may never get it. I mean, unless you come up and shake hands with somebody that's like, I'm from here and there's my craft, you know, it's going to be pretty tough to prove this. And so it's super elusive, even to people that believe in this, such as myself. I believe it's possible, you know, that we saw something otherworldly, but I also accept that it's possible that I saw something that was ours that was somehow being tested, or, and I say ours meaning human, you know. So that is a tough one. I think we all are looking for.
But, you know, I am going to gripe a little bit about one of the comments that was made, because there was someone making fun about somebody who's very important to me, and that's Samantha Moet. Because this person chooses not to believe Samantha Moet because she is far out there, that immediately my experiences with her should be discredited. Right? Because this person chooses not to believe her stories or what she has learned. And this is where I get a little upset sometimes, because we have people barking for proof. And this adds to the proof part. If you're not going to like someone, that's fine. If you don't want to believe someone, that is fine. But opinion is not proof. Opinion has never been proof. And if you are basing your research on your opinion, you're no better than the people out there who are having anecdotal stories, which are way more believable than someone's opinion. And to put someone down that you don't know what type of person she is, what type of mother she is, what type of friend she is, what she's experienced in her life, I'm very protective of that, especially with her, because she is a family friend. Okay. And it just really shows a lot of ignorance that is within this community. And I'm sure those people are listening. I'm sure they are. I don't care.
Yeah.
Right?
And to be quite honest, I don't hold myself under any kind of fire for believing the lies that I've been told. Like, they're very convincing, and it's been for a long time. And the fact is that you can even show me something and convince me potentially that I'm seeing something else than what it actually is. And so I find that that is kind of in this dance that we're doing, where the witnesses are even being misled away from their reality, you know, because of the pressure that there is by the stigma and the fact that it is a really big stretch to say that they're coming here from all the way there. And actually tonight, two of my stories are about breakthroughs, about the facts that it looks like we are going to be able to get to them sooner than we thought. We're getting some breakthroughs in science that show that being far away isn't necessarily a deal breaker when it comes to visitation. So you know, that box is still yet to be opened, that Pandora's box. You know, I really feel like it's yet to be opened. And
Yeah.
so I agree with you that, you know, it's tough for witnesses in this because there's so much spin and you don't know what is real and what isn't. And there are tons of lies and deceivers and charlatans that are out for dollars, or even politicians that are taking this and polarizing it to move dollars around. So I think it's really tough, and I can understand
Yeah.
that people get a little pissed off with those lies.
But you know what, Tim? The other point, and you made this a little bit earlier, you can tell they're not listening to this show. They're just trying for aha, gotcha moments. Remember, I've warned about that. Because if anybody was actually listening to the last few months of what we have talked about on the UFO report, we have come out point blank with great information, okay, regarding how there is a narrative being played out. We have shown through different stories and different people's actions how UAP may not necessarily mean a UFO. That UAP means man-made.
Yeah.
We've shown through the narrative that is being run with proof, like Enigma Labs, that there is no such thing as disclosure. There's confirmation. And the people who are trying to railroad a message over an article in the New York Post, well, there is a difference between making things personal and talking about it on a business commentary, which was what we were doing. Okay? I don't take anything personal. I should say that. I do. Okay? But there's a big difference between the people who wrote that article and the business of what the article was saying. Humans are humans. I like those humans, just like I like most of the people in ufology. But when I'm talking about it, I'm talking about business here, not personal. And everybody wants to make things personal. So what I did to respond to these people, a few of them, I said, I don't do Twitter wars. I don't. If you would like to talk to me, I'll DM you my phone number. Not a single person has asked for my phone number.
Yeah, and Dave, we make it a point to cover both sides of this. We don't favor anyone here. If there's a story, we cover it no matter who's writing it. And a lot of good information comes from all of these sources that we get. And we have commentary on all of that. But I think that it's so important to highlight the fact that it's so hard to pick and choose our sources nowadays. So we have to cover it all. We have to discuss it all. And honestly, it's really hard to stay right down the middle. It really is, especially when you've maybe put some heart and mental investment in something like Galileo Project, and then it does something that makes you go, oh, right? Or perhaps you're into a little group such as my own little organization, and you're like, oh, that's nothing. And then suddenly we're going to be like, oh, right. And so that's why this is that fun roller coaster. But, you know, along the way, everyone that's playing this personally, gotta love them. Gotta love them because their heart and soul is in it. And sometimes our passion gets, you know, the best of us. And hey,
Very true.
honestly, there's nothing wrong with that. You just got to keep it civil. And remember, we're here with lots of peace and love, and we all want the same exact thing, which is the truth, right? Whatever that is, we want that. So I think we can agree on that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you know, I'll take the final word
Please.
on this one. Okay. And that is, over time, as I have personally learned about this subject, you have to be able to say when you're wrong. Okay. And there's been many times where I have been wrong. Okay. And there are times when I've been right from the beginning, like the To the Stars Academy. And I don't hold that against anybody. I'm not sitting there, yeah, well, I was right. Yeah, well, I was right. No. It's about performing the best that we can with the information we have. And the other thing too, a lot of our critics will say is well, you guys, you don't do a lot of hard news. Well, we're not a news show. We're an entertainment show, bringing the stories of people's experiences to light. And yes, then their argument, well, you don't verify them. Well, we do our best. How do you verify someone's experience? You just have to trust, and I would say 99% of the time we're right on it. You have to trust what you're learning. And there's a lot of people out there who are virgins to this topic and just want to know. They want to know what it's like to see a UFO, or to come face to face with a Bigfoot in the forest, or to live in a haunted house. We bring those stories. But for some reason, the UFO Academy of Fine Arts out there, they don't seem to be able to understand that there is a big difference between bringing news and bringing entertainment. The show is entertainment. What you and I do, Tim, is news. That's why it's called the UFO Report. We're going to get to Tim's stories when we return on Spaced Out Radio. Propulsion systems. Can we get to the stars? We'll find out next on the UFO Report as we bring you the news of ufology. Next on Spaced Out Radio. All right, we're clear.
Good show tonight, bud. What a great guest you had on.
You know, I wasn't going to bring that up. But I just figured, you know what? I have some things to say.
Yeah, get it off your chest.
And I don't do aha gotcha moments.
But you did one with me because I didn't know we were going to.
No, but I'm not trying to pin down people.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's Green Street or Steve Cambion or Rich Giordano or anybody, Joe Mergia, okay, Chris Wolford, or anybody of that ilk. I don't bet against anybody. We all need to succeed with the information. But if you haven't figured out this show yet in what we do on a nightly basis, then you're not listening. You're not listening. And if you're one of those hardcores, I need proof people, we're not the show for you. We're going to bring it to you at the UFO Report. And sometimes, once in a while, we'll bring on a guest where we can go hardcore with that. If there is breaking news, which we have over time canceled guests to bring in panels to discuss the news that is seriously needing to be talked about at that moment. But for the most part, we're here because people want to hear spooky stories. We are here because all day, every day, these great listeners of ours and our great subscribers on podcasts, on YouTube, or Twitch, or wherever, okay, they get bombarded with hardcore news and social media bullshit all day long. From the time they wake up until the time they tune us in. And we allow those people an escape, like the great people in our chat room. We allow them the escape to forget about what's happening. And if the UFO world can't see that, I'm not apologizing for it. Okay? We are entertainment during the first 2 hours of the show, 95% of the time. I just don't know. I don't understand why it's that hard to get. And trust me, dude, I take a lot of crap, you know, and a lot of people, you know, I shouldn't say I take a lot of crap. I take some crap over it. It's because people don't understand. And you try and explain to them, well, they don't understand because they never worked in media.
Yeah, this is a fun show.
Exactly. And, you know, like River Dogma says here, no proof needed. I saw what I saw.
He gets it.
But Tim, who am I or who is anybody in the UFO community to go to River Dogma or yourself, your entire family, or the people I have eyewitness things with to say, no, you didn't see that. No, that didn't happen. You saw moths. You saw swamp gas. Who are you to say that? Like one guy on Twitter today, I said, oh, I didn't know you were hiding in the forest with Samantha and I. Which tree were you behind? Were you there? Because I didn't see you. You must be sneaky. You know, I didn't even ask him if he knew where Mission, British Columbia was. Right? But I mean, why are we trying to cut everybody's heads off? Doesn't make sense. And I'm not backpedaling off of what I said about Greenstreet's article. I don't back off on that at all. I like Steve. I do. I like everybody in this field. But at times, if you can't take the criticism, where my show is, you're allowed to criticize my show for being entertainment, but I'm not allowed to criticize your article? No. Center ice. Anyways, I'm done. I think it's laughable.
How long do you have till we're done with break?
30 seconds.
Oh, okay. I have a story for you.
Fill me in overtime. I don't know if Random Guy is going to be joining us tonight. Not sure.
Okay. Well, I'll stick around for at least a little bit. My son turns 11 tomorrow, so I have to set up the surprise for him. So he comes down to an explosive, like, eye-popping morning.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right.
I set up surprises.
You do that. All right, buddy. Here we go.
Okay.
5 seconds. We rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears. Want to remind you that if you missed most of this show or others, check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor. Hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We continue on with the UFO report. Here's little Timmy Shenor. We're going to start off with revolutionary propulsion systems, Tim. What do you got going on here? Oh, you put your microphone on mute, Tim.
Oh, yeah. Reaching for the stars, revolutionary propulsion systems could potentially take us to interstellar space in record time. And so imagine reaching the outer realms of our solar system in under 5 years with a heavy spacecraft. A revolutionary propulsion system could make a dream like this a reality. And so we are going to talk about this cutting edge technology that could discover ways to explore the cosmos and bring the interstellar travel to a human lifetime. And so it is called Pellet-Beam Propulsion, considered the next frontier. A cutting-edge propulsion system now called the Pellet-Beam Propulsion could potentially send a heavy spacecraft beyond our solar system in less than 5 years, a journey that took Voyager 1 probe 35 years to complete. And so although concept currently exists only on paper, it has garnered attention and a $175,000 NASA grant for further development. And so interstellar travel within a human lifetime is now a possibility, and the innovation Pellet-Beam Propulsion has captured the interest of researchers due to its potential to reach interstellar space within the human lifetime. And so traditional chemical fueled rockets are unable to achieve this feat, especially with larger crafts. Arthur Davin, I'm sorry, Davian, there it is, Arthur Davian, an aerospace engineer from the University of California, Los Angeles, and the lead researcher behind the proposal, explains this new propulsion architecture could rapidly transport heavy payloads across the solar system and into interstellar space. And so inspiration from the Breakthrough Starshot initiative has the pellet beam concept taking the inspiration from the Breakthrough Starshot initiative, which aims to develop a light sail propulsion system. And so this system would use millions of lasers to propel a tiny probe to the neighboring Proxima Centauri within just 20 years. Moving beyond the small probes, the pellet beam propulsion system moves the small probes by considering how to transport the larger objects, essential for future exploration or colonization efforts outside our solar system. So the conceptual propulsion system involves two spacecraft, one traveling to interstellar space and the other just orbiting Earth. And so we can get into how it works, but I can tell you the concept is there and it looks like it's possible. And so now with NASA investing, maybe they are going to incorporate that within the next 5 to 7 years. It's an interesting thought, Dave.
It is an interesting thought. And you know what? We're going to have to take these concepts a little further, the further we want to go into space. I was watching Elon Musk talk about his giant space rocket that he wants to eventually send to the moon. And there's only a 6-month window every 2 years where you can actually launch those rockets. Look, if we want to expand, we have to push the technology. We absolutely have to. You know, the issue that I could see a lot of humanity having is, what is this going to do to the climate change? Now, I'm not a big climate change proponent, okay, for various reasons, and that's a political side that we don't really get into on this show. But if we're going to push those levels to making transit to the moon better, we're going to have to push harder on what we're going to do with rockets, and eventually, just instead of rockets, craft that could take off like a 747 and just head right into space from there. I mean, are we close to that? Maybe at Area 51 we are, but I don't know. Your thoughts, Tim?
Well, it's definitely interesting. And this concept is incredible. The idea is to superheat laser, like particles within a laser, and then shoot within that laser yourself as a particle. And some of these particles are, well, they're calling them pellets, can reach speeds of 120 kilometers per second or 70 miles per second, and either impact the sail of an interstellar spacecraft or repel a magnet with it. So propelling the spacecraft to high speeds and allowing it to exit our heliosphere. So it's kind of interesting thinking that you can fire yourself down a laser beam. That's conceptually what it is sounding like. And so it's they call it Pellet-Beam Propulsion. And so you're absolutely right. We need to think outside of the box. But the fact is that we're already using lasers for so many things. Doesn't surprise me to see that we're considering firing things within the laser to reach speeds that we normally wouldn't be able to achieve with traditional methods. And we definitely can't expect fossil fuels to get us outside of our heliosphere, especially.
No, we're going to have to push harder than that. That is for sure. All right, Tim, let's move on. Please. In the meantime, scientists are preparing to create a traversable quantum wormhole.
That's right. And this one is coming from Vice. And there is a counter proportion through a wormhole, giving you the end goal of the object being reconstituted across space. But we can verify that nothing has passed. And so diving into this, a physicist has proposed a mind-blowing experiment that could potentially create the first ever traversable wormhole, meaning a real bridge across space-time. And so in addition to demonstrating that wormholes can exist, the speculative technique could open up entirely new windows into nature of reality. By simply offering a glimpse inside these bizarre space-time tunnels and enabling a form of teleportation that researchers call counterportation. And so wormholes are hypothetically structures. Excuse me for one moment. Sorry. Hypothetically structures that can connect to points in space-time, a feature that makes them especially popular in space fiction stories that include faster-than-light travel. But wormholes have also been a topic of serious scientific research for a century, as they appear to be consistent with Albert Einstein's theory of general relativity. And so whilst researchers have made breakthroughs recently with simulated or at least holographic wormholes, nobody has ever generated a real one in the lab or identified one in the cosmos. And so now a quantum physicist with an honorary research fellow at the University of Bristol's Quantum Engineering Tech Labs has presented a potential roadmap toward achieving this long-sought goal. Imagine if someone's consciousness, like AI, is copied into a quantum object. Oh man, this thing just...
This is way above my pay scale, man.
I'm going to simplify things for you here. But basically, we're talking about realistically creating a wormhole in a lab and seeing if you can transport objects through that. And it's looking like on paper, we're starting to make this a reality. And there is quite a few people that are working on this along with this head scientist, with including the co-founder of the startup Quantum, envisioning the makeup of this traversable wormhole. And so they're using a special kind of quantum computer that could provide a smoking gun for the existence of the underlying physical reality. And so with this new study in quantum science and technology, the key thing is it uses current tech and currently available components. Referring to his preferred and proposed experiment, the head of this organization, the hope is that within the next 3 to 4 years, we will have built this thing. And so they're trying to build a workable model and include this fundamental concept into to this new study of what they're calling counterportation. And so it would be really interesting to see that would really take care of the whole here to there and the whole G-force on our bodies and all of that. You're talking about instant teleportation. So interesting that they're considering this as a reality. Dave, it opens up quite a few Doctor Who question marks, brings up Star Trek and that whole thing, and very science fiction. But would you ever let yourself be thrown into a digital wormhole?
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, that look, we have to figure it out. We know it exists. We have to figure out the science on how to get there. Because obviously, if extraterrestrials are coming here from wherever, they need to be able to transit here somehow. And is that through wormholes? Is that through, finding a way to go faster than the speed of light? We really don't know right now.
Yeah, and imagine being that first human to walk through that.
I mean, I wonder if they have ever calculated the death risk of this going on, because this is going to cost a lot of astronauts, man. It really is.
Yeah, it's definitely the beginning of every good sci-fi movie, right? And it never ends well in those films.
It never does. I don't even know if I like the topic.
Yeah, they're calling it similar to what we would consider quantum teleportation, which is also very questionable in terms, but they're calling it teleportation, which occurs on the tiny scales of atoms. So in the quantum world, a particle can become oddly entangled with other particles at vast distances, allowing it to transfer or teleport its information to other particles. essentially copying itself somewhere else before disintegration at the original location. Does that kind of make sense?
Do we need this to go to Mars, or do we need this to go further out?
Oh, we should get out of our heliosphere at this point if we can, because we're fairly sure that the next possible exoplanet that is inhabitable is well out there. I think 30,000 light years. So it's pretty far, you know, the next inhabitable. So we're going to have to figure out the here to there. And don't quote me on those numbers, but I know that some of the near like Earth planets are not close. So we're going to have to figure out something to get to those, if that's what we're planning on. We need to get out of our heliosphere. We're pretty sure there's nothing breathable in our solar system as far as habitable for humans.
All right, let's go to our final story.
Okay.
Of the night tonight. Congressman discusses massive UFO sighting by Navy veteran and was showed top secret videos. What's this about?
Yeah, no, you're going to have to bear with me because my tablet is being extremely finicky today in how long it's taking to populate. So
all right,
bear
well,
with me.
I'll read it for you.
Do you have it up?
I do.
Okay, sure. Go ahead, Dottie. That'd be great.
UFO mouthpiece, U.S. Congressman Tim Burchett is among few government officials who's been actively seeking and speaking on the UFO phenomena and publicly shared his long-standing view that the government has been withholding information about UFO sightings and otherworldly aircraft tech and materials. He supported UAP's disclosure while criticizing the UFO hearings held back in May. He expressed his dissatisfaction with the lack of information collected by the U.S. State Department, that is. Moreover, in a recent interview with Newsweek, Burchett claimed that recovered UFO technology may be reverse engineered right now, but we don't understand how it functions. We have recovered a craft at some point and possible beings. I think that a lot of these beings reverse engineered right now, or a lot of that's being reverse engineered right now, but we just don't understand it. However, the Defense Department has not confirmed the nature of the remaining 3 objects, which were targeted by, well, let's face it, now they go trying to blame the UAPs on drones again.
Right.
Let's fast forward here.
Yeah. You want me to pick it up? I've got it right where it starts.
Sure.
So Representative Burchett shared an interesting account of a U.S. Navy veteran on Project Unity who claimed to have seen a huge craft. And again, this is a story coming to us from How and Wise. Burchett told Jay Anderson and that he had received a call from a former colleague while he was out of town. He was an older gentleman, probably close to 80, and he called Burchett Timbo, which is great because I get that a lot too. I knew who he was, he said, and he said, hey, I thought he was going to talk about little green men and alien abductions. But when he told me a story he had never shared with anyone except his wife. He had been in the Navy and was on a ship, which I believe is a destroyer, in the middle of the ocean in the mid to late 1950s. A submarine came up to meet them, and as they watched, it fired a missile, which was likely one of the first underwater missile firings since World War II. After that, they were getting ready to go about their activities when a huge craft, which he describes as 2 city blocks in size, appeared. It hovered over them silently and was shaped like a classic saucer. He said there was something like portals or openings around the craft, and then it just disappeared without a sound. When they got back to port, 3 men in suits, I assume from the CIA or military intelligence, debriefed him and told him he had not seen anything. It was a matter of national security, and if he repeated it, he could be put in prison. And so, moreover, it's obvious that some individuals may speak condescendingly or make jokes about the topic, but as stated by Burchett in an interview with Knox News, however, it's been reported that photos have been shared with him by pilots and those who have had military credentials. And so he says in a quote, "I've met with scientists, some of the top people in the world, and they tell me that they have extraterrestrial craft in our airspace on a regular basis." And so he goes on to say that in the new data, including sightings reported after 2021 report, there is an additional 119 sightings that were discovered and reported late, but still fall within the previous report's time frame. So he's had some experiences. He's getting in on some of the reports. And some of this stuff is pretty incredible for him to get firsthand reports from people that have had such massive sightings. I think there's a lot of military witnesses that just don't really come out with this stuff until they know they can trust the person that they're going to tell it to. And I mean, obviously, if you're going to tell Timbo something, you know, it's going to be real. And so I think this is a credible report from a 1950 occurrence on this submarine. It's incredible.
Well, one of the things that I would say about that, if I had a chance to interview Tim Burchett, we're going to try and get him on the show. I would like to ask him, why is he taking this so personally? Why has this become a personal vendetta against, not vendetta, but a personal, what's the word I'm looking for? Personal gain for him on taking this subject so seriously. I want to know if he's an experiencer.
Yeah.
I want to know what has made him freak out about this subject.
What he says publicly about his passion about this is that he is tired of the American public being lied to. I think that's probably a quote, that he just wants the truth on the matter, and he's going to do whatever it takes to get that truth. And I think that's fair, and I think that's simple.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of reject the report considering who put it out there. But, you know, Tim Burchett needs to really, really open up as to why this is such a personal run for him.
Yeah, I don't know if he's ever been asked if he's had a personal sighting or not. Although I feel like I don't think he has. But that's only because he's not sure if it's real or not. Right? If he had seen it, he would already know. But you know, he's looking for that proof, I think.
We got to investigate him more. We got to investigate him more.
Yeah. Yeah, he seems like a great. In fact, I touched his office, reached out to them, and he's very accessible, and he's really willing to do shows. So, and all the people he works around are really nice. So, yeah, I'm sure he's more than happy to do it. They wanted to know if I was within his constituency living in Tennessee, and I was like, no. And so I didn't get an immediate call back, let's just say.
That's all right.
Yeah,
that's all right. We'll do our best to try and
You've got more pull than I do.
Yeah, but you got those great shirts that you wear.
I wore your favorite. It's Friday.
Yeah, I know. All right, Timmy, it's always a pleasure to have you on Spaced Out Radio. Once again, a great UFO report that you have laid down for us. Thank you so much, my man.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's always tough trying to put these things together, you know, because the news is the news. And when you try and piece it together as to what it's really standing for, even some of the best in this field don't even know where it's going when it comes to the UFO story. And that is the truth behind it. Thank you, Tim Senor, for coming on in. Thank you to our resident swamp dweller for another spooky story that takes us on another journey. And then, of course, our great guest, Amber Rudd, on Ghosts of Newfoundland, telling us some creepy stories going down the road. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot THAL rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, at work, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGAB, Facebook, Spreaker, LinkedIn, the Space Travelers Club, and on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio.
I know you're out there somewhere.
Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends,
we're watching.
we own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home.
I know you're out there somewhere watching me.
Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night. But soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night.